Hola,
Hola.
bienvenidos a Chalk and Talk. Aquí estamos con Ana. Y Ana es la novia de Guillermo. ¿Sí? ¿Vale? Muy bien, y entonces le vamos a hacer unas preguntas a Ana sobre la vida en general. Ana, ¿qué haces? ¿A qué te dedicas?
Pues ahora mismo estoy estudiando
Ajá.
una carrera y estoy haciendo enfermería.
Enfermería. Ah, vale. ¿Y por qué esa carrera? ¿Por qué?
Siempre me ha gustado desde
Sí.
pequeñita y hace unos años pues decidí que quería dedicarme a eso y me metí a estudiar.
Ujú. Muy bien, muy bien. ¿Es difícil?
Hay que estudiar
Sí.
mucho, sí.
Ah,
Sí, hay que dedicarle tiempo a estudiar, pero bueno, luego haciendo las prácticas, cuando estás con la gente y eso, te compensa.
muy bien. Y por ejemplo, ¿cuántas horas por semana tienes que estudiar?
Bueno, yo es que soy un poco perezosa, entonces lo dejo todo para última hora. Pero estudio normalmente un mes y medio antes de los exámenes
Ajá.
y estudio por la mañana y por la tarde.
Vale, sí. ¿Y cuándo va a terminar la carrera?
Pues me quedan 2 años para terminar.
Ah, ¿y después?
Después puedo especializarme en algo en concreto, que podría ser pediatría con los niños o matrona con las embarazadas y los partos, o salud mental para psiquiatría, pero todavía no sé, no tengo muy decidido qué voy
No.
a elegir, no. Me gustaría matrona, pero esos son 2 años más estudiando
Vale.
y entonces no sé todavía.
Pero un trabajo gratificante, supongo,
Sí,
¿no?
sí. Cuando tratas con la gente y...
Ajá.
A ver, hay de todo. Hay gente simpática, hay gente más así, pero sí, la verdad que sí.
¿Has viajado mucho, Ana?
No mucho.
No, ¿has
No
salido
tanto
de
como
España?
me gustaría. Sí, pero muy poquito.
Ajá,
Muy poquito. Fui a Andorra a esquiar
ajá.
y a Malta, que estuvo Guille viviendo allí un
Ah,
tiempo.
sí, ajá.
Fui a visitarle y ya.
Solo
Tengo que
eso.
viajar más tiempo.
¿Te gustaría?
Sí, me encantaría.
Ajá.
Me encantaría también vivir un tiempo fuera para aprender inglés. Pero bueno, poquito a poco ya veremos.
Sí. ¿Qué tal tu inglés?
Muy mal.
Sí. ¿En la
Muy
escuela
malo, muy malo.
estudiaste inglés?
En el instituto sí. Y ahora en la carrera, cuando terminamos la carrera, te piden que tienes que tener inglés, un básico. Es obligatorio, pero si no, no puedes terminar la carrera y me lo tengo que sacar. Tendría que apuntarme a una academia para aprender.
Sí, ajá.
También otra cosa pendiente.
Claro, sí. Bueno, poco a poco, ¿no?
Sí, poco a poco.
Sí. Muy bien. ¿Y cómo ves tu futuro? ¿Qué planes tienes para el futuro? Planes personales.
Pues lo primero, terminar mi carrera, dedicarme a eso. Yo pienso que me gustará y, no sé, pues eso, viajar fuera, vivir un tiempo fuera, si se puede, y luego pues ya hacer una familia y...
Vale, una familia. ¿Con cuántos años? ¿Cuántos años tienes ahora?
25.
25. ¿Y tener familia con cuántos años?
Un tiempo... sí.
30 y...
30 y algo, sí.
Algo,
largo,
¿no?
sí.
Que
un poco.
es normal ahora,
Sí.
¿no?
Ahora normalmente la gente tiene los hijos más mayores.
Sí. Ajá.
Al principio quería tener hijos jovencita, cuando tenía 18, quería con 20 y pocos tener
Sí.
hijos, pero vas viendo la vida y es más complicado. Y ahora todavía estoy estudiando
Claro.
y claro, necesito dinero. Entonces, pues claro, ya se va alargando el tiempo.
¿Te gustaría estar casada antes de tener hijos?
Sí.
O... Sí.
Sí, me
¿Prefieres
gustaría
estar?
casarme antes.
Sí. ¿Y
Pero
por qué?
también, claro.
¿Por qué quieres estar casada antes de
No sé,
tener
para
hijos?
ver primero cómo nos llevamos en el matrimonio y si todo va bien, pues ya tener hijos.
Sí, ¿y cuántos?
1, 2 como mucho.
2 como mucho, ¿no?
2 como mucho, sí.
Ah,
2 como mucho.
bien. Pero hay gente, por ejemplo, Alex,
Sí.
tiene 7, es de
7 hermanos.
6 hermanos, ¿no?
Sí. Ay, no, pero esos son muchos.
Tienes
Mucho
que empezar
mucho
temprano,
trabajo.
¿no?
Sí.
Con 18
Sí,
años sí puedes,
Sí,
¿no?
con 35 empiezo con el primero, el último con 60. Entonces, no, muy mayo.
Vale, muy
Hay que
bien.
tener energía
Ajá.
para tener muchos hijos.
Vale, la última pregunta. En tu opinión, ¿cuál es la cosa más importante de la vida?
El amor. Y la familia. La familia es lo más importante, yo creo, para mí.
Muy bien. Muy
Estar
bien.
con mi familia.
Sí.
Y pasar tiempo con ellos y...
Qué bien. Pues muchísimas gracias.
Nada, un placer.
Hasta luego.
Hasta luego.
Adiós. Okay, so now that we've listened to Anna talking, how was that for you? Could you understand most of what she was saying with any challenges? Let's go through it sentence by sentence and let's see what tenses she's used and what kind of expressions she's used, etc. I find that Anna was quite easy to understand. She speaks very nicely. So let's see. Well, let's look at the first part. Y entonces le vamos a hacer unas preguntas a Ana sobre la vida. Let's start with this first sentence that I say. Le vamos a hacer unas preguntas a Ana. So this is a classic interchange. This is an exchange verb. I am going to, or we are going to, make some questions to Anna. So there's an exchange. What's in the middle? Questions. So that's why I'm saying le. Okay, I'm referring to her, le. And remember with Spanish, we say to ask a question and they say to make a question. I think the reason is because to ask is preguntar and a question is una pregunta. So it would sound a bit weird to say, le vamos a preguntar unas preguntas. It would sound a bit weird. So they tend to say, le vamos a hacer unas preguntas. Okay? So there's the classic exchange verb that needs the le. Regardless of the fact that we say a Ana, we must say le. Well, actually, a lie. You don't have to use le. There are rules that say that in certain circumstances you don't need to use le. But trust me, 99% of the time, 99% of the population use le. You use le. Don't mess around with, well, it says here in Spanish Dict that sometimes the Academy has said that forget it. If it's an exchange verb, use le and you're going to be okay, you're going to be right. Don't fart around. Is that the expression? Don't fart around thinking, oh, should I, shouldn't I, because I've heard somewhere that maybe you don't need to. No, just use it. Okay? That's the best way. ¿Qué haces? ¿A qué te dedicas?
Pues ahora mismo estoy estudiando una carrera.
I ask Anna two questions. ¿Qué haces? ¿A qué te dedicas? They're really not that different. ¿Qué haces is the most simple version of what, so what do you do? Okay, what do you do? But obviously in context, it could be, what are you doing right now? But I'm asking her what she does. And so I just qualify by saying, ¿a qué te dedicas? What do you dedicate yourself to? Now she answers by saying, pues ahora mismo estoy estudiando una carrera. Okay? Now isn't this curious? She's using the present continuous. And you know we've talked lots about the fact that you only use the present continuous when you're actually doing the thing now. The caveat to that is that when you are in the middle of a process, whether it be studying for una carrera is your degree, studying for a degree, reading a book, doing something, and you're in the middle of the process, then you can use the present continuous. Estoy estudiando. And what she's showing is that she's in it. She's doing it now. It's a real life process that's happening now. That's why she's using the present continuous. Okay?
Y estoy haciendo enfermería.
Enfermería. Ah, vale. ¿Y por qué esa carrera? ¿Por qué?
Siempre me ha gustado, desde pequeñita.
And because Anna is still talking about the process that she's in, she uses the continuous again. Estoy haciendo enfermería. So she's learning to be sort of a nurse. Yeah. And then she says, siempre me ha gustado. Desde pequeñita. Okay, so I've always liked it since I was small. And she uses a diminutive to say very small, I suppose. And what she's done is she's used the present perfect. Siempre me ha gustado. Okay? Me ha gustado. Now, why has she used the present perfect? Because what she's showing is siempre me ha gustado. You're always within the time frame when you use the present perfect. She's talking about her life. And the fact is that she's still within this time frame, showing that she still likes it. Siempre me ha gustado y sigue gustándome. So I've always liked it and it continues to please me. yeah? So it isn't over. That's why she's using the me ha gustado, yeah? And if you see the structure of it, ha gustado, that's third person singular. It has pleased me, yeah? So a lot of people think they've got to say siempre me ha gustado or something like that. Use the he gustado, pero no. It's ha gustado. It's always third person. If you say siempre me he gustado, you're saying I have always liked me. I have always pleased myself. So you avoid that.
Y hace unos años pues decidí que quería dedicarme a eso y me metí a estudiar.
Here she says, so, hace unos años pues, so some years ago, then, pues, you can remember when Elena was using pues just as a little filler? Well, this is the same. So hace unos años pues decidí que quería dedicarme a eso. So I decided, that's preterite, she decided once, it was a one-time decision, that she was wanting, so she decided once, but she's put quería, imperfect, that there was the desire, okay? Dedicarme a eso. So that's what she wanted to do, that was the intention, remember the imperfect's all about intention, and then to dedicate herself to that. And then she uses the verb meterse, a something. So me metí a estudiar. So basically, and again, she used preterite to show that it was a one-time action. We would say, so I started to study. And she's saying, so I got myself involved in studying. Meterse is to get involved, yeah, or to put yourself in something. ¿Es difícil?
Hay que estudiar.
Sí.
Mucho, sí.
Ah.
Sí, hay que dedicarle tiempo a estudiar, pero bueno, luego haciendo las prácticas, cuando estás con la gente y eso, te compensa.
This hay que is interesting in Spanish. It's virtually the same as saying tienes que, okay? The difference is hay que is not referring to anybody. Like if you say tienes que estudiar, you have to study, okay? But if you say hay que estudiar, you're almost saying one has to study. It's not making any reference to anybody. So when you use it, you have to use it in third person, singular, okay? What I mean by that, for example, if I was going to say, you have to get up, right? If I was saying that to somebody, I would say, tienes que levantarte. So I'm using tienes tú, and I'm using te because there's two as well. But if I use I've got to say, hay que levantarse, right? One has to get oneself up. So it's not referring to anybody when you're using hay que, all right? So that's very important to remember. So she says, hay que estudiar mucho, so one has to study a lot. Then she says, sí, hay que dedicarle tiempo a estudiar. So here's another exchange verb, dedicarle. So you have to give it time to study. Give studying time. So there's an exchange. So that's why she says dedicarle tiempo a estudiar. So it's that le a, usual thing when you're making an exchange. And then she says, luego haciendo las prácticas, cuando estás con la gente y eso, te compensa. So although the studying's hard, later when you're doing the practical work and when you're with people, it makes up for it, yeah? Okay. Muy bien. Y por ejemplo, ¿cuántas horas por semana tienes que estudiar?
Bueno, yo es que soy un poco perezosa, entonces lo dejo todo para última hora. Pero estudio normalmente un mes y medio antes de los exámenes y estudio por la mañana y por la tarde.
So when she answers me, I ask her how many hours a week does she study? And she says, bueno, yo es que soy un poco perezosa. And did you catch the way that she slipped in es que? And this es que is just, again, it's another filler. And they'll start lots and lots of sentences with es que, es que, es que, es que. And it's like, it's that, it's that, it's that. It's just, we would say it's just. But they use that a lot. So I'm a little bit lazy. Perezosa is lazy. And she says, lo dejo todo para la última hora. Okay, watch out for this lo todo. Okay, you'll see it a lot. People that say things like dámelo todo instead of dame todo. You can say dame todo, but they tend to use this lo todo, and it's like the lot. That's basically what. It's even more than just everything. It's the lot. Okay, lo todo. So that's why she's saying I leave it all, everything, for the last hour. They say para la última hora, and we say to the last minute. I leave everything to the last minute, and they say to the last hour, yeah, or for the last hour. And then but normally she studies un mes y medio antes de los exámenes, so a month and a half before the exam she starts to study. So studying in Spain, it's all about passing the exam rather than learning the stuff. So basically people cram. Rather than studying generally all the time, they'll leave it and then they'll cram for the exams, yeah? And then she studies in the morning and in the evening, okay? Vale, sí. ¿Y cuándo va a terminar la carrera?
Pues me quedan 2 años para terminar.
Ah, ¿y después?
Después puedo especializarme en algo en concreto, que podría ser pediatría con los niños o matrona, con las embarazadas y los partos, o salud mental para psiquiatría.
Okay, so maybe we're into some vocab you're not familiar with. So she says, me quedan 2 años para terminar. So quedar, in this respect, is to be left. So 2 years are left for me. I've got 2 years left. That's what we would say, to finish. And then she says, después puedo especializarme. So especializarse is to specialize yourself. They put themselves in there, yeah? We could say, I could specialize in, but their verb is reflexive, yeah? So you're specializing yourself in something en concreto, in concrete, you know, something fixed, I suppose we would say. So she says, podría ser. ¿Qué podría ser? She starts with que, as typically most Spanish speakers do. So it could be. Podría ser, it could be. So, pediatrics, with children, los niños, or matrona. Matrona is midwife, con las embarazadas, so with the pregnant women, y los partos. Los partos are the birth, the actual birth process. And then she says, or salud mental, so mental health, for psychiatry, okay? So that's her options that she's got.
Pero todavía no sé, no tengo muy decidido qué voy a elegir, no. Me gustaría matrona, pero esos son 2 años más estudiando, vale. Y entonces no sé todavía.
This is a nice little expression that she's used. So she says, pero todavía no sé, so I still don't know. And then she says, no tengo muy decidido lo que voy a elegir. So I don't have very decided what I'm going to choose. So it's interesting, tener algo decidido, yeah? And we would say, no he decidido lo que voy a elegir. I haven't decided. So that it's just another way of saying the same thing, but I don't have decided what I'm going to choose. So interesting that. And she said, me gustaría matrona, so I would like to be a midwife. I'd like midwifery. Pero esos son, has to agree. Esos, they are 2 years more studying. So I don't know. I still don't know. So it's interesting that agreement. Esos son. Pero un trabajo gratificante, supongo, ¿no?
Sí. Cuando tratas con la gente y... A ver, hay de todo. Hay gente simpática, hay gente más así, pero sí.
I said to her, well, it's un trabajo gratificante, so it's a gratifying work. It sounds like it to me anyway, helping people. And she says, yeah, cuando lo tratas con la gente. And what that means is when you're working with people, yeah? And this tratar is interesting. She's used lo tratas con, which is used when you're talking about working with somebody, yeah? And obviously we use tratar when we're talking about films, but that's normally with de. So la película trata de o se trata de, as you like. But when you're working with people, so lo tratas con la gente, working with people, yeah? And then she says, a ver, hay de todo. Hay de todo is another fixed expression. There's a bit of everything. That's basically what you're saying. There's a bit of everything. There are people who are nice, simpática, y hay gente más así. So people who are more the other way, yeah? Not quite as nice.
La verdad que sí.
¿Has viajado mucho, Ana?
No mucho.
No, ¿has salido
no tanto
de
como
España?
Me gustaría. Sí, pero muy poquito.
Ajá.
Muy poquito. Fui a Andorra a esquiar.
Ajá.
Y a Malta, que estuvo Guille viviendo allí un tiempo.
Sí, ajá. And here I ask Anna if she's traveled a lot. Has viajado mucho. And then I apologize. I talked over her answer, which is not good as an interviewer. But she said no mucho. No todo lo que me gustaría. So not as much, not everything that I would like, not as much as I would like. And I say, ¿has salido de España? Have you left Spain? And she said, sí, pero muy poquito. Yeah, but very little. I went to Andorra to ski and to Malta. And then this is interesting, this structure. She says, y a Malta, que estuvo Guillermo viviendo allí un tiempo. So what she's used is the past continuous, so estuvo viviendo. But look how she split the estuvo viviendo and she stuck Guillermo in the middle. Yeah? So you can do, when you're speaking, you can do all kinds of weird stuff. So Guillermo estuvo viviendo allí un tiempo. And she's had to use estuvo and not estaba. Why? Because she says un tiempo. She's measured it. So even though she's using the continuous, she's got to use the preterite with it, okay? Because she's measured it.
Fui a visitarle y ya. Tengo que viajar más tiempo.
¿Te gustaría?
Sí, me encantaría. Me encantaría también vivir un tiempo fuera para aprender inglés. Pero bueno, poquito a poco ya veremos.
So here we have a classic leísmo. She says, fui a visitarle. Okay, visitar somebody is not an exchange. There's no exchange going on. And so that means that we should be using lo. Fui a visitarlo. Okay? But Ana is from the center of Spain, and so she, when she refers to a him and she wants to use a pronoun, she'll always use le over lo. Okay? So it's both are fine. The academy, the real academy is fine with le, but just be aware, that's what causes us a lot of confusion. And then she says, y ya. And that's like a y ya, and that's it. Ya está. That's it. That's all I've done, yeah? And then she says, me encantaría vivir un tiempo fuera. Okay. Now, so I would love to live sometime fuera. She's saying fuera del país, outside of the country, para aprender inglés, to learn English, okay? There's a confusion that's going on here in Spain about when you use fuera and when you use afuera. Okay, when you say fuera, normally you should be saying fuera del país. You should say fuera de, okay? And if you just want to say outside, you say afuera. All right, and that's you finish with a full stop. Afuera, and then you don't add anything. You can't say afuera de. You can only say fuera de and then the whatever. But they get it all mixed up here, so that very often you'll hear people saying fuera and then leaving it, when really they should say afuera. Okay, so don't worry about that if it gets a bit confusing. And then she says, poquito a poco, ya veremos. Ya veremos is we'll see. We'll see, okay? So that's a plan. Sí. ¿Qué tal tu inglés?
Muy malo.
Sí. ¿En la escuela estudiaste inglés?
En el instituto sí. Y ahora en la carrera, cuando terminamos la carrera, te piden que tienes que tener inglés, un básico.
I asked Anna about her English. ¿Qué tal tu English? Remember, ¿qué tal? You can use that as a great way of asking questions about most things. It's like, how is, yeah. She says, muy malo. And I ask her, ¿en la escuela estudiaste inglés? Interesting, you know, with English, well, with languages, sometimes you don't know when you've got to say el inglés and when you've got to say inglés. Just bear in mind that with estudiar and enseñar, so learning and teaching, you don't use el, okay? You don't use el, you just say inglés, unless you're specifically talking about an English from a certain place. For example, if you were talking to somebody, you would say, yo aprendo español, okay? Or yo enseño español if you teach it. But if you want to say, for example, you could say, yo aprendo el español de Argentina. Okay, so that's when you're being specific. The Spanish from Argentina, that's when you would use el. If not, you don't bother. And then Ana goes on to say this. Y ahora la carrera. Okay, so the carrera, remember, is your degree. Cuando terminamos la carrera. Okay, now, she's not talking about when she finishes. She's talking in general. And that's why she's not using the subjunctive. She's saying cuando terminamos, not cuando terminemos. All right. So she's saying, in general, when we finish, when one finishes la carrera, te pidan que tengas que tener un inglés. So and this is subjunctive, okay? Te pidan te piden, que tengas que tener. So that they ask you that you have to have. Right? It was a very strange sentence for me, that one. I would say te piden que tengas un nivel de inglés or something like that, but that was just the way that she chose.
Es obligatorio, pero si no, no puedes terminar la carrera y me lo tengo que sacar. Tendría que apuntarme a una academia para aprender.
Sí,
También otra cosa pendiente.
Here's a nice tongue twister. Es obligatorio, so obligatory. Or how do you say that? Obligatory. Okay, it's difficult in English as well. So basically that's, you have to do it. You have to have your English. Si no, so if not, no puedes tener la carrera. So you can't have the degree unless you've got English. So there's a lot of pressure. And then she says, y me lo tengo que sacar. All right? Or tengo que sacármelo. And this sacar is to get the qualification. All right? It's just they use this a lot for qualifications. Sacarme el examen or el whatever, yeah? And then she says, tendré que apuntarme a una academia. So apuntarse is to join, sign up, join, become a member of an academy to learn. She says also another thing to do. Otra cosa pendiente. So another thing that's to do, waiting to be done.
Pues lo primero, terminar mi carrera, dedicarme a eso. Yo pienso que me gustará. Y no sé, pues eso, viajar fuera, vivir un tiempo fuera si se puede, y luego pues ya.
So I asked Anna about her plans, personal plans for the future, and she says, pues, she's thinking about it, she starts with the pues. Lo primero, terminarme la carrera. So when you use the lo in this sense, it's a thing. So the first thing, to finish my degree and dedicate myself to that. So, focus on finishing the degree. Yo pienso que me gustará. So I think that it will please me. We would say, I will like it. Yeah, I think I like it. Okay, so look how she's made gustar into the future. It will please me. And then she says, y no sé, pues eso de viajar fuera. Pues eso de. And that's a nice little expression as well. Is eso de, and it's the thing about, that thing about traveling. Because she's already mentioned it, and so she's saying, pues eso de viajar fuera. Because we've mentioned it, she's saying that thing about traveling. And she uses fuera again instead of afuera. Vivir un tiempo fuera, again, instead of afuera. So live some time outside of the country. Si se puede, if one can. Yeah, and rather than si puedo, si se puede, if one can.
Hacer una familia y...
Vale, una familia. ¿Con cuántos años? ¿Cuántos años tienes ahora?
25.
25. ¿Y tener familia con cuántos años?
Un tiempo... Sí,
30 y...
30 y algo, sí.
Algo,
largo,
¿no?
sí.
Que es normal ahora,
sí.
¿no?
Ahora normalmente la gente tiene los hijos más mayores.
Sí. Continuing on with the plans for the future, she says, hacer una familia, so to make a family. And I ask her, ¿y tener una familia con cuántos años? How old? And she said, well, obviously she wants to wait a while. And I said, 30 y... And she said, well, 30 y algo, so 30-something. Yeah? And then she says, ahora normalmente la gente tiene hijos más mayores. Okay, so people have children older. They don't have older children. They have children when they're older. It's a bit of a confusing sentence. So they have children when they're older now, which is very common. Parents, mid-30s, start making a family rather than when they're 20-odd, yeah? Ajá.
Al principio quería tener hijos jovencita, cuando tenía 18. Quería con 20 y pocos tener hijos, pero vas viendo la vida y es más complicado. Y ahora todavía estoy estudiando.
Claro.
Y claro, necesito dinero.
Al principio is a set sentence which is at the beginning, at the start. And now she uses the imperfect because she's talking about an intention. Quería tener hijos, jovencita. So I wanted to have children young, referring to herself, like jovencita, as she's talking about herself. Cuando tenía 18, so when I was 18, and again, when we talk about age in the past, we use the imperfect. We've explained why, because you're talking about two actions happening at the same time. So one of them has to be, the background one has to be imperfect. So cuando tenía 18, quería con 20 y pocos tener hijos. So I wanted to have, when she was 18, she was wanting, planning, intention imperfect. When she was 20 to have, or 20 and a little bit to have children. Yeah? Then she says, pero vas viendo la vida. So this is ir plus the gerund. This is, like ir and seguir and continuar, all of those, we use them with the gerund. So you go along looking at life, basically, that's what she's saying. Y es más complicado, it's more complicated, yeah. It's interesting that she's referring to life, but she says it's más complicado, yeah. She could have said it's más complicada as well, but obviously it's when people use the normal, the masculine, it's just a very general. They're not really referring to anything. Everything is more complicated. Todavía estoy estudiando, so she uses the continuous again. That's she's studying, she's in it, she's in the process. Y claro, necesito dinero. And obviously she needs money to have a family. So basically the idea she had fell through because life was too complicated. ¿Te gustaría estar casada antes de tener hijos?
Sí.
Sí,
me gustaría casarme antes.
Sí. ¿Y por qué? ¿Por qué quieres estar casada antes de
No sé,
tener
para
hijos?
ver primero cómo nos llevamos en el matrimonio y si todo va bien, pues ya tener hijos.
Sí, ¿y cuántos?
1, 2 como mucho.
2 como mucho, ¿no?
2 como mucho, sí.
So I asked Anna if she would like to be married before she has children. Would be, te gustaría, yeah? And she says yes. And I ask her why, and she says, para ver cómo nos llevamos en el matrimonio, okay? So, llevarse is to get along, yeah? So, cómo nos llevamos, how we are getting along in the marriage, yeah? That's a very common expression. ¿Cómo te llevas con blah, blah, blah? Okay, how are you getting along with somebody? Okay? And then she says, y si todo va bien, pues ya. Ya is then. It's like ya is used to show that action's about to start, yeah? Or to end. Tener hijos, yeah? And then, so we would say, so then to have children, yeah? And I ask her, ¿cuántos? How many? And she says, uno o dos. Listen to how she says her S. Anna says more of a sh than a s when she says a S. It's very, very curious, that accent. Vale, la última pregunta. En tu opinión, ¿cuál es la cosa más importante de la vida?
El amor. Y la familia. La familia es lo más importante, yo creo, para mí.
Muy bien.
Estar con mi familia.
Sí.
Y pasar tiempo con ellos y...
So we finish off with a nice deep question. ¿Cuál es la cosa más importante en la vida? What's the most important thing in life for her? And she answered immediately, el amor. And then, la familia. Yeah? But then she qualified it and said, la familia es lo más importante, yo creo, para mí. So obviously, when she's talking about love, she's talking about amor de familia, no? So, and then she says, estar con la familia y pasar tiempo con ellos. Yeah, so to be with family and spend time with them. So that's her highest value in life. Eh? Love and family. Muy bien. Me parece muy bien. Okay, so how was that? How was listening to Anna? Anna speaks very nicely, I think. She has moments where she's very quick. And sometimes she doesn't pronounce every word. It flows into one. Also, if you've noticed that Anna has a very deep voice for a woman, and this is quite typical in Spain, that you'll see that women quite often have a deep voice. It isn't for any other reason than cultural. It's culturally accepted for women to speak in a lower tone, okay? But sometimes that can help you and sometimes it can't. Sometimes it makes it a little bit more difficult. But I'll be interested to see your comments on how you found Anna, to listen to Anna. And if you've met Anna on one of our immersion courses, Anna comes down and talks each night with the group. So some of you may know Anna already, and that would be quite nice for you to see her again. Okay, so we'll see you in the next week. And next week, I've got so many interviews done now, I'm not sure who I'm going to give you, but I'll give you somebody interesting, okay? Hasta luego, adiós.